Welcome to the cultural teaching section of the self-compassion module. Traditional teachings about practicing self-compassion stress the importance of treating ourselves well. This is a skill that can be learned. However, it must also be practiced in order to produce any measurable benefit. Even though we want to be nice to ourselves and say nice things to ourselves, somewhere along the way we began to be overly critical, judgmental, and less patient with ourselves. We may think that we are motivating ourselves to be better and do better, but we may be hurting ourselves and making our goals much harder to attain. We always try to be good friends and family members. If someone in our life is hurting or needs encouragement, we are right there with a kind word and understanding. Unfortunately, we are not always as compassionate with ourselves, which is a lonely place to be, especially if you do not have people in your life who build you up. So, it is up to us to take responsibility for our own happiness. We have to be our own cheerleaders and be able to comfort ourselves and pick ourselves up when times are tough. We can set an intention to show compassion to ourselves every day and treat ourselves as we would a family member or best friend. Instead of saying, "Man, that was stupid. Now I messed everything up." We can instead say, "Well, that didn't go according to plan, but I learned a lot and I'm proud of myself for trying." You should be proud of yourself every day. When you set an intention to be a friend to yourself, it can totally change your outlook on life. You can be in a great situation, but it may feel like your own personal hell if your perception is skewed by negative self-talk and criticism. This can keep you from enjoying anything, especially your accomplishments, because it may make you feel like an imposter. So, instead of motivating you, your self criticism may be holding you back and making you feel bad about yourself. However, if you can be patient with yourself and practice self compassion, then you can have a best friend in yourself. You can accomplish this through several ways, including positive self talk, self acceptance, confidence, and forgiveness. Some of the many benefits from regularly practicing self compassion are increased self confidence, improved body image, and increased resiliency. Self acceptance. Acceptance does not mean that we are resigned to any situation. And just because we love and accept our body does not mean that we do not work to achieve physical fitness. It is natural to want to improve certain things, but it is also important to love and accept ourselves along the way. So, this means appreciating and accepting your body and the changes that it goes through, as well as your personality and other traits. Your self acceptance journey can start by setting an intention to love and accept yourself. Once you set your intention, you can then begin practicing self acceptance through meditation and positive affirmations. If you need a way to remember to say positive affirmations to yourself, then you can work it into an existing habit and say them every time you wash your hands. Native people have a very deep relationship with water, and there are healing ceremonies that involve going to water. So, this is a great time to practice self acceptance. You can start with affirmations directed at any area of your life, such as your appearance, personality, or anxiety. Self talk. You know that voice inside your head, the one that communicates the thousands of thoughts that we have daily? Aside from communicating mundane things like, "I feel like pizza for lunch," or "now I feel like something sweet," that voice could be contributing to your feelings of inadequacy if it sounds like, "Ugh, I'm fat. I hate my body," or "Why do bad things always happen to me?" How you talk to yourself could very well determine what kind of life you have and whether or not you enjoy it. Cherokee people have long understood that our words and thoughts have power, and it will greatly benefit us if we can make sure that they are positive. So, how do you go about changing your self talk to a more positive and compassionate voice? First, it helps to set an intention. Your intention could be, "I will speak to myself in a positive way, and I will show compassion to myself." Setting an intention makes it clear to what your goal is so that you have a way to keep yourself accountable and heading in the right direction. Also, It helps to highlight any time your self-talk is negative or self-defeating. Remember, if we talk to ourselves negatively, then we will get negative results. But if we practice positive self-talk, then there is no limit to what we can accomplish. Self-confidence. Practicing self-compassion daily can give you the motivation to build upon your successes and take healthy risks. It helps to know who you are and what you stand for. A non-judgmental, honest assessment of your strengths and limitations will enable you to set attainable goals so that you do not set yourself up for failure. Once you begin to accept who you are and be compassionate to yourself, you will no longer feel the need to compare yourself to others. Forgiveness. When Cherokee people attend ceremony at their stomp grounds, they are encouraged to forgive themselves and others so that they are not bound to those negative events. The act of forgiveness is not to let those who wronged you off the hook, but instead to free yourself from the bondage of pain and toxicity. Cherokee people have long recognized how regret and resentment can prevent you from living in balance, and that is why forgiveness is practiced at ceremonial grounds. Another part of practicing self-compassion is allowing yourself to grow and learn, and making mistakes is often a part of that process. Some of us may not have been taught how to walk in balance and may have hurt ourselves and others because we coped in negative ways. Simply put, we didn't know what we didn't know. Of course, in our youth, many of us feel like we have it all figured out. But when we can finally accept that we know only a little and will continue to learn forever, then we are on the right path. While clumsily fumbling around the world, we often make mistakes. However, learning from your mistakes and setting an intention to do better puts us on the road to enlightenment. One barrier to that is regret and shame for the mistakes that we have made. However, carrying that burden only serves to slow our progress and gets in the way of our wellness and service to others. At some point, each person must decide when they have endured enough torment and unshoulder that burden. Shame and guilt are very harmful, and if it is your intention to learn and do no harm, then you deserve to walk without that negativity weighing you down. So, whether it is nightly, weekly, or monthly, make sure you are taking time to forgive yourself and others as we continue to heal and progress.